Good evening. I'd like to call the caucus to order. I will ask for nominations for caucus chairman and caucus clerk. For those nominations, I will now recognize David Haviland of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. I would like to nominate James Rapetti for moderator and Darlene Heidke, excellent, for clerk.
Do I have a second? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll call for a voice vote for James Rapetti for caucus chair and Darlene Heidke for caucus clerk. Voice vote? Aye. Jim?
Thank you, Felicia. This caucus is held under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 53, Sections 117 to 121. We have a town election scheduled for Monday, May 20th, 2024, and our purpose tonight is to nominate a maximum of 2 candidates for each open office in that election. I would like the following process to apply. After I explain it, I will ask you to approve the process. 1. Ballots must be cast and counted for those offices for which more than 2 candidates are nominated. The 2 persons receiving the highest number of votes shall be the caucus nominees. All nominees must receive the votes of at least 8% of those attending the caucus. Several years ago, we decided to allow the caucus clerk to cast a single ballot on behalf of the caucus in those instances where there are not more than 2 nominees, and to count ballots only for those offices for which more than 2 persons are nominated. Number 2, the persons nominating a candidate may spend 2 minutes speaking for his or her candidate. There are no seconding speeches, but I would like to hear a clear and concise second from the floor. The candidates will be introduced at the time of nomination and may speak briefly for not more than 2 minutes if they wish. 3, if necessary, voting will occur after the completion of nominations for all offices to be filled. 4, all nominees must accept the caucus nomination by signing the caucus certificate, and that will be up here with Felicia. Please do not leave before signing the certificate. If a nominee is not present tonight, he or she must sign the caucus certificate at the town clerk's office by Tuesday, March 19th at 4 p.m. And to reiterate, there will be no vote necessary if we have only 2 nominees for each position. Are there any questions about this process? Okay, hearing none, I would like to hear a voice vote adopting it for this caucus. If in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Anyone who wishes to run for office may, as an alternative to seeking caucus nomination, secure nomination papers from the town clerk. Nomination papers will be available on Wednesday, March 13th, and must be submitted to the Board of Registrars by Monday, April 1st, 2024, by 3 p.m. 35 signatures of registered voters of the town of Dover are required for such a nomination using papers. I would now like to briefly recuse myself because I have a conflict of interest with respect to the first nomination. I turn the podium back to Felicia Hoffman.
I will now accept nominations for the office of moderator for a 1-year term.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kate Haviland, and I live on Walpole Street, and it is my honor to nominate James Rapetti for the position of Dover's town moderator.
Do I have a second?
Most of us here know Jim, and he doesn't really need much of an introduction, but custom dictates that we introduce the candidates. So here goes. Jim and Sue have lived in Dover for over 30 years. They raised their 3 kids here. By day, Jim is a law professor at BC Law. His specialty is tax law. He's written many books on the subject of tax law, and I have to confess I have never read of any of them. In Dover, Jim has served many years as a scoutmaster, where he imparted his love of the outdoors and sportsmanship and his deep commitment to civic responsibility to countless scouts. He's also been part of our emergency management department for many years. And you know, if you're here, probably, that Jim runs an excellent town meeting. He works really hard to balance meeting efficiency with our need to hear all sides of an issue. He knows all the ins and outs of our traditional town meeting, and he always reminds us that it's possible, and in fact, when Jim is running a meeting, it is necessary to disagree without being disagreeable. Because at the end of the day, we are all neighbors here in our small town. I hope you'll join me by voting for Jim on Monday, May 20th. Thank you very much.
Jim?
Thank you, Kate, for that nomination. And my books are a cure for insomnia, so you'll find them in the sleeping aid section of the drugstore. I really would just like to thank all of you for participating in town government. Without volunteers, it wouldn't work well. And we really appreciate everything that you do. So thank you for coming here tonight, and thank you for standing up and running for your specific offices. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the position of moderator? Hearing none, I declare the position closed. I'll now return the podium over to Mr. Repetti.
Thank you, Felicia. Okay, so the next position that we will consider is 1 3-year term for the Board of Selectmen. Do I have any nominations for the Board of Selectmen? Yes, Mr. Smith.
Good evening. My name is Peter Smith. I've been serving on the Warrant Committee for the last 6 years, and a 3-year stint before that, live on Pond Street. And it is my pleasure this evening to nominate Dave Haviland for the Board of Selectmen. Dave and I met several years ago, quite a few years ago actually, when we got paired together in a sporting event, and we quickly bonded over our common interest in history and the workings of the town of Dover. Dave and Kate moved to Dover, I think just shy of 30 years ago, and have raised 3 boys here. From the start, he's been actively engaged in the schools and served 6 years on the school committee. During that time, he was directly involved in the Chickering Building Committee, the vetting and hiring of a new superintendent and a new principal, and in the negotiation of a teacher's contract. Since leaving the school committee, Dave has served on the Town Administrator Search Committee, the Financial Oversight Subcommittee, and as Assistant Moderator, the all-important keeper of the time bell at town meeting. Beyond Dover, Dave founded and built up a successful financial advisory management company, which he sold 2 years ago. He continues to serve on several nonprofit boards, including A Place to Turn Food Pantry in Natick. But beyond these many qualifications, I endorse Dave's candidacy because he is thoughtful and engaged. Those of you who know him will know he's a talker, but those of you who know him well will know that he's a perceptive listener. He's going to bring ideas and also an open mind to the Board of Selectmen. I plan to vote for him, and you should too.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do I hear a second? Okay, Mr. Haviland, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Peter. It's quite an honor to stand up in front of everyone today. I think I should start by thanking everyone for your support last week. Being in office for all of 6 days, I'm not sure there's a whole lot to report, but I will ask you for your support tonight and again in May. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haviland. Are there any other nominations for the position on the Board of Selectmen? Okay, hearing none, I declare nominations for the Board of Selectmen closed. Our next office that we will consider is the office of Town Assessor. One position is open, and it is for a 3-year term. Are there any nominations for Assessor? Yes, Mr. Cox. Please approach the microphone. Thank you.
Bob Cox, 14 Cedar Hill Road. It's my honor to nominate Charles Long for another term as assessor. Charlie is a lifelong Dover resident. He's an attorney with a real estate specialty, practicing in Needham for over 50 years. He's been a member of the Board of Assessors for a number of years, and we rely quite a bit on his experience and expertise. My pleasure to nominate Charlie Long.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Do I hear a second? Mr. Long, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Bob, for those kind words. It's been a privilege to serve as an assessor in the town of Dover, and I look forward to doing it again for another term. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Are there any other nominations for town assessor? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next position is for the Dover School Committee. It's one position that is open, and it is for a 3-year term. Are there any nominations for Dover School Committee? Yes, ma'am.
Jessie Hole, 37 Pine Street. I am pleased to nominate Kate Nixon Cook for the Dover School Committee. Kate was one of the first people that I met when my family moved to Dover in 2020. My first impression, which carries forward to today, is that Kate is open-minded, kind, thoughtful, and an extremely committed steward and leader within our Dover community. A short yet critical recap of Kate, why Kate will be a wonderful addition to the Dover School Committee. Let's start from the beginning. Kate was raised in Dover and graduated from Chickering, Carroll, and Dover Sherburne High Schools. 6 years ago, Kate moved back to Dover to raise her family, in large part because of the schools and small-town community feel. Kate has a second grader in Chickering and a rising kindergartner who will attend Chickering this fall. So much of what we do as members of the Dover School Committee is through learned experience by spending time in the schools, and Kate is a consummate Chickering school volunteer. In 3 years since her daughter has been at Chickering, Kate has been a room parent for 2 years, led curriculum enrichment for 2 years, been a room parent coordinator, volunteered weekly in the library, and participated in various Chickering Cares initiative. I promise you that nobody has done more than Kate. Beyond school, Kate has proven her capabilities as a successful and committed public steward of our town. She worked tirelessly for the Friends of the Dover Library as a fundraising chair, president, and currently as president emeritus. She also served on the search committee for hiring the current Dover Town Library Director. Kate has also spent 18 years of her professional life as a project manager in the event industry. As part of this work, she was responsible for vendor management, contract negotiations, and budgets. Finally, Kate holds a bachelor's degree in finance from Tulane University. Both thoughtful and measured, Kate is looking forward to representing all parents and, more importantly, all children of Dover. And I know she'll do a terrific job doing just that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a second? Okay, Ms. Cook, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Jesse. Kate Nixon Cook. I live at 15 Donnelly Drive. As Jesse mentioned, I am running for a school committee. I did grow up in Dover. I attended Chickering, Carroll, and Dover Sherburne, and I feel so lucky to have received an education equivalent to that of many of my peers who attended private schools.
Ma'am, you might want to move a little bit
Sorry.
closer to the microphone.
Better?
Thank you. That's good.
Thank you. When I had my oldest child, then my husband and I were looking to move from the city out to the suburbs. We were both drawn to Dover, not only because of my history here, but because of the excellent public schools. I'm running for school committee because I passionately believe in public schools and that our kids deserve the best possible education we can provide for them. I have a second grader at Chickering and a rising kindergartner who will be in Chickering in the fall. I currently volunteer, as Jesse said, in Chickering in a number of different roles, as a curriculum enrichment coordinator, as a room parent, as a librarian's assistant, and most weeks I'm in the school building volunteering at least 1, if not 2 days. There's a lot of greatness that I see in the halls and classrooms, but there is always room for improvement. I want to be sure that along with kindness, empathy, and inclusion, our kids are also receiving top-level instruction in math and science. All our children need to have access to a safe and supportive environment where they can learn and grow. I want to be sure that every family, and more importantly, every child, is represented, seen, and heard. In addition to my work at Chickering, I've also been a part of the Friends of the Dover Town Library Board in a number of different roles. And I truly believe that all volunteer-led organizations are only as productive and positive as their members are, and I think that I have proven in my 6 years here that I am open-minded, even, fair, and dedicated to this very special community we are lucky enough to call home.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Are there any other nominations for the position of Dover School Committee? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next, we move to the Dover-Sherburne Regional School Committee. One position is open, and it is for a 3-year term. Are there any nominations for that position? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now get close to the microphone.
Thanks. Colleen Burt, 53 Yorkshire. My name's Colleen Burt, and I'm currently serving on the Dover-Sherborne Regional School Committee. Tonight, I would like to nominate Dr. Kevin Crotty for the Regional School Committee. Dr. Crotty, with his wife Shannon, have lived in Dover for 8 years and have 2 daughters enrolled in DS schools, one in 5th and one in 7th. I've known Kevin for about 5 years, both as a neighbor in Glen Ridge and as the father of one of my daughter's best friends. He is someone I've known to take an active interest in the school committee meetings, attending virtually and in person, and is one of the town members I regularly ask when I want balanced feedback on school committee matters. Dr. Crotty works as an anesthesiologist at Leahy Hospital and Medical Center in Burlington, has worked extensively in veterans health care, including at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. When I asked Kevin's daughter why he would make a good school committee member, she said because he is hardworking and kind and organizes surgeries, so he is definitely organized. This was today, actually. Kevin's mother worked in special education, and in witnessing her work firsthand, he gained an appreciation for the importance of deeply understanding each child as we strive to educate them. More recently, in an effort to advocate for his own daughter, who has a diagnosed learning disability, Kevin has dedicated himself to understanding the ins and outs of literacy and also working on behalf of other special education interests. He taught a year of 5th through 8th grade math at a Catholic school, which is very brave. And so he also has an appreciation for the everyday challenges that teachers face. Kevin is a parent who understands and is deeply invested in education. He would be a great addition to the Regional School Committee. I proudly nominate Kevin for school committee tonight.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Second. Is Kevin here? Yeah, thank you. Come on up, Kevin. Thank you, Mr. Crotty.
Hello. So my interest for the spot was based on making sure we have proper use of the taxpayer funds, a supportive, inclusive environment, and then most importantly to me is 2025-2026 is the literacy curriculum review within Dover-Sherborne School District. And I don't know if many of you have read the Boston Globe series about the state of literacy in the state of Massachusetts. I've read books on reading how to read, which is also very boring. But I want to make sure that when we go to review the curriculum, that we're using the best science to match the teaching of science today. So that's my goal, part of the regional. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next, we'll go to library trustee. There are 2 positions open. Each is for a 3-year term. Hi.
Good evening, Erin Rodat-Savla, 6 Bryant Lane. I'll be nominating everybody for the library tonight. My first nomination for the 2 3-year positions is Amy Collins. I first worked with Amy on the earliest phase of the most recent phase of the community center work. And during that time, Amy proved herself to be rigorous, to not shy from asking tough questions, even of the leadership of the committee, and to work tirelessly on digging into the details of various proposals. As a result, I asked Amy most recently to be one of our community analysts on the library survey, which we're using as part of our strategic planning, and she committed the same level of energy, the same level of detail, and again, toughness. So I'm honored to nominate her for the first of the 2 3-year positions.
Do I hear a second?
And she's here.
Amy, would you like to say a few words? Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Hi, Amy Collins, 96 Center Street. So thank Erin for her kind words. We've lived in Dover for almost 7 years. I have 4 children, ranging from ages 4 to 12. So we have spent 7 years in this library. We love the library. We appreciate, I think the library is one of the best things that a town can offer to its residents. And not only do I appreciate it for young kids, but for myself and for all ages of our town. And as Erin said, I worked as a guest analyst to help with the strategic planning. And so I look forward to continuing to help to make our library just a wonderful place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. And now there's a second nomination, I believe.
Alrighty. Still Erin Rodat-Savla from 6 Bryant Lane, still the outgoing chair. So my second nomination is Carolyn Ringel, who cannot be here tonight, but Carolyn has lived in Dover for almost 17 years. She's served on the Friends of Dover Library, all of the school committees, the PTO. She has 3 children, 1 a senior in high school, 2 in college, and currently works as a consultant and teacher of bioethics. And she did want you to know that the only reason she can't be here tonight is because her college student was actually willing to travel with her. She says, "I love our library, and I'm often there checking out books. I can't think of another town where you can check out a book, a yogurt maker, and a Wii all at the same time." She's excited to continue the work she's witnessed at the library over the 17 years, turning our library into a real community space in many different ways, whether it's programs for children, seniors, and everyone in between. She'll be phenomenal.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Okay, nomination is seconded. Are there any other nominations for the 3-year term as library trustee? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next, we move to library trustee for a 1-year term. One position is open.
Erin Rodat-Savla, 6 Bryant Lane, outgoing chair of the Library Trustees. I nominate Rob Andrews, who is actually currently serving in this role. He was kind enough to fill in when Adrian Hill had to resign. He also cannot be here this evening, but for those of you who don't know Rob, that's a miracle. He has lived here in Dover for almost 12 years and is a stay-at-home father. He has been phenomenal on the trustees this year already, particularly due to his past service on the Warrant Committee as both a member and chair. It is invaluable to have that connection between another committee and the finance oversight of the town. Rob says he's no stranger to town government, having both served on the Warrant as well as School Advisory Board at Chickering, where his twin 4th grader sons attend. He was also on Friends of the Dover Town Library, so he knows the library in and out. He also serves, he's such a busy guy, as the vice president for Caring Communities at Temple Beth Shalom in Needham, and is an active volunteer with Jewish Family Services, resettling refugees in the surrounding towns, mostly by being a lot of time on Facebook's Buy Nothing and gathering all of us together to help those families. So for those of you who know Rob, you know that we are very lucky to have him on library.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Okay, and Rob is not with us tonight. Are there any other nominations for the 1-year term for library trustee? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next, we move to the planning board, and the first position on the planning board is 1 position for a 5-year term. Are there any nominations for that position? Jody? Wait.
Hi, I'm Jody Shue. I live at 10 Main Street, and I am currently the vice chair of the planning board, and I'm delighted to nominate Carol Lisbon to the position of chair of the planning board, or just to the planning board, a 5-year position on the planning board, but we hope she comes back because we want her as the chair. And probably similar to Rob, if you don't know Carol, you might be living under a rock, but I will gladly tell you a little bit about her, and it's a great pleasure to do that. Carol has been a resident of Dover since 1978, 46 years and counting. She and her husband, Alan, have raised 2 daughters in Dover and now have 2 grandkids here in town as well. She's been involved in town government, that's an understatement, since 2000, 6 years on the warrant committee, 15 years on the capital budget committee, 9 as a selectman person, over 20 years on the recycling committee, and over 15 years on open space. So we got a good one here. She's currently serving on the Open Space Committee and the Recycling Committees, and also on the newly formed Housing Task Force. It's been a real pleasure for me to work with her on the Planning Board. She's been on since 2015 and has been the chair since 2021. I learn so much every time I talk to Carol about any issue having to do with town, and she's also become a wonderful friend, so I hope you'll support her nomination and join me in voting for her.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Okay, are there any other nominations? Oh, I'm sorry, Carol, come on up. Sorry about that.
I'm rushing along. Carol Lisbon.
I just wanted to get you back to that meeting quickly.
That's true. We're in the middle of a planning board meeting, so we've taken a quick break here. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. Jody is actually the reason that I convinced myself to do another 5-year term, because as vice chair, she has provided such incredible leadership, almost daily contact with the planning office, and I couldn't do what we do on the planning board without Jody, so thank you. The planning board has 6 members, 5 that are a vote, and 1 that's an associate member, and we'll get to that next. And we have a full-time town planner, and we've just been an incredible team the last couple of years. I couldn't be more proud of what we've done with the ADU bylaw, working on protecting town center, creating a tree committee, obtaining grants to work on housing issues, and being very active members of the Housing Task Force, and really focusing on our bylaws to make sure that they not only reflect best practices, but start to address the many, many challenges that are facing Dover. So I really look forward to doing this for another 5 years with your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol. Are there any other nominations for the 5-year term of Planning Board? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next, we move to the Planning Board Associate Member. It's 1 position, and it's for a 2-year term. Any nominations? Yes, Ms. Lisbon.
So Val is finishing up her 3rd term as associate member. She spent the first year filling in for a term and then was elected by the town 2 years ago, just like tonight's caucus for a 2-year term. For those that have ever watched a planning board meeting, you'd be hard-pressed to know the difference between any of us voting members and Val. Her attention to detail, her leadership, she was basically the one that has created and moved the tree committee into an incredible organization and team that you'll be hearing a lot about over the next couple of months. And she moved to town 12 years ago, and she did give me a list of everything that she has done, which is amazing. Chickering PTO, Dover Mothers Association, Friends of the Dover Greenway, the Dover Church, Dover Park and Rec, the Open Space Committee, the Carroll Community Center Feasibility Study Committee, and she's so well respected and so competent that she was asked by the Board of Selectmen to be on the most recent Town Administrator Search Committee. So it's a pleasure to nominate Val, and she just wanted you all to know that thank you for support of her, and that she accepts the nomination.
Okay,
Thank you.
you. Do I hear a second? Okay, nomination has been seconded. Are there any other positions for the associate member of the Planning Board? Hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Jody and Carol, thank you very much, and back to your meeting. Next position is a 3-year term. 1 position is open for the Board of Health. Yes, Kate.
Hi, Kay Peterson. I'm the chair of the Board of Health, and I would like to nominate Steve Kruskal to the position as a member of the Board of Health. Steve has lived in Dover for 44 years, and during that time he has contributed a great deal to the town. This will be his 3rd term on the Board of Health, and prior to that he was on the Lyme disease committee, which was part of the Board of Health for about 10 years. He's also been on the Historical Commission, spent 10 years doing that, and was on the board of the Dover Historical Society. In his previous life, he was an emergency room physician and was the chief of the emergency services at Metro West. And he also served as the medical director for the Dover EMTs for about 20 years. He has contributed a great deal to the Board of Health. He's really a wonderful repository of institutional memory for us, and I hope we'll all support him for his third term on the Board of Health.
Thank you, Kate. Do I hear a second? Nomination has been seconded. Mr. Crisco, Dr. Crisco, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Kay, and thank you everyone for support in past terms I've served. The Board of Health occasionally has some challenges that have been faced by all the town, and hope at this point, hopefully most of that recent challenge has passed us. But I've enjoyed these challenges. I've enjoyed being part of Dover for this very long time, and hopefully I'll be serving you for another 3 years as well.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Are there any other nominations for the Board of Health? Okay, hearing none, I declare nominations closed. And I just want to mention, during COVID, we relied heavily on the Board of Health to help us plan meetings in order to minimize the chance that anybody would contract COVID. And happy to report that because of their efforts, we were not able to trace any cases of COVID to the town meetings that we had during that period. So I think that's... Thank you. Okay, next to the Cemetery Commission, and we have one position open for a 3-year term. Do I have any nominations? Fred?
I'm shrinking, but I'm not that short yet. Oh, I'm going to lose that too. All right, there it is. Fred Sears, 5 Meeting House. I'm pleased to place a nomination the name of Carol Jackman. She won't be here this evening, but she said if she's seconded and she accepts that position. She has our present secretary of the cemetery. She's been on for many, many years, and I've just finished the first year of my cemetery commissioner experience, and if anyone knows Carol, she's kept me going the right direction every month with very positive attitude. She's a complete citizen of the town. Everything in that cemetery has really been traced back to lots of her goodwill. So I hope you people will please vote for her. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Do I hear a second? Okay, the nomination for Carol Jackman for a 3-year term. Cemetery Commission has been seconded. And Carol is not able to attend tonight, but she has accepted the nomination. Is that correct, Fred? Great, thank you. Are there any other nominations for the 3-year term Cemetery Commission? Okay, hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Next, we have 3 5-year positions for the Larrabee and Whiting Trust. Are there any nominations? Yes, Jonathan.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Jonathan Fryer, 16 Haven Street. I am the current chairman of the Larrabee Whiting Estate. We have 3 members. Unusually, all of our terms come up the same year. Usually they're staggered, but that may be something we work on. I would like to nominate Mary Crane, who has been on the commission with me for quite a few years, and she is a huge asset, hard worker, and has 2 of the most important qualities for Larrabee Whiting, which is patience and discretion. And so I'd like to nominate her for another 5 years. Mary?
Do I hear a second? Mary, go right ahead.
Thank you. Mary Crane, 25 Main Street, Dover. Thank you, Jonathan, for the nomination, and I would be honored, and it would be my pleasure to continue to serve this wonderful town we live in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crane. That was the nomination for one of the three. We have two more. Okay, Ms. Crane.
Mary Crane, 25 Main Street. And I would like to nominate Jonathan Fryer, lifelong resident of Dover and current member of our board.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Mr. Fryer?
Thank you, Mary. I'm very honored to be nominated once again. Thank you.
Thank you. In the third position, is there a nominee for the third position? Yes, Mr. Fryer.
Jonathan Fryer, 16 Haven Street. Our third nominee tonight is Michael Savage, the longtime resident of Dover. He's put several children through our school system. I've known him for quite some time, and he again has the important characteristics of a member of Larrabee Whiting, which is hard work, discretion, and patience, because we deal with people in need. So I'd like to nominate Mike.
Do I hear a second? Okay, yeah, sir, would you like to say a few words?
Hello, Mike Savage. As John mentioned, I've been in town quite some time, 25 years. I live at 14 Circle Drive, which is off of Claybrook. I've spent some time with the fellow trustees of the Larrabee Whiting and spent some time trying to understand the mission and the goal of the trust. And I've long understood that the character of this town is based in part on, large part, on the volunteerism that we see from many of the folks that contribute their time to the town. In the 25 years I've lived here, I've certainly taken my share of the benefits of living this town, and this opportunity is just one small step in perhaps trying to give back. So I would welcome your support in trying to join the Larrabee Whiting Trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for Larrabee and Whiting Estate? Hearing none. Sorry, okay. Janet, did you have? Oh, okay. Hearing none, I declare nominations closed for that position. Next, we move to Constable. There's one position open for Town Constable, and it's a one-year term. Any nominations? Yes, Ms. Devine.
Liz Devine, 17 Haven Terrace. I have the privilege tonight of nominating Alan Heinlein for the position of Constable. Alan, again, is a lifelong resident of Dover. He works presently in the insurance industry, and if he's not working, you can find him out in his fields, on his tractor, gardening, and loves the outdoors. Alan comes from a family, the Heinlein family, that has always been very important serving the town. Through the years, we have been constables, police officers, moderators, selectmen, warrant committee people. And Alan has decided he would like to continue this tradition by running for constable this evening to fill a term. Thank you.
Thank you. And here a second. Mr. Heinlein, would you like to say a few words?
First of all, I'd like to thank Biz for the nomination, and I gladly accept the nomination. As Biz mentioned, I'm a lifelong resident of Dover. I live at 80 Main Street on the corner of Main and Claybrook, and I look forward to serving the town again. In the past, I've served on the emergency services on the ambulance. I actually was a trustee for the Larrabee and Whiting Estate, and so I'm excited to see these guys carry the torch. Thank you. And I look forward to serving the town again. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Are there any other nominations for Town Constable? Okay, hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Lastly, we turn to Parks and Recreation. We have two positions that are open. Each is for a 3-year term. Any nominations for Park and Recreation? Yes.
Chris Boland, Tower Drive. The first of the two nominations I have is Jennifer Damon. Jen has agreed to accept the nomination for a third term on the Park and Rec Commission. She's lived in Dover for about 10 years, has 2 daughters going through the school system, and and she is active as not only a practicing physician, but also involved heavily in a soccer program. And Jen, in addition to that, just another COVID story, Jen was instrumental, really, I give her full credit for making sure that first summer of COVID, that we were able to provide programs for the children outdoors. She very quickly insisted that this was an opportunity that we could safely take advantage of for the children, following all the protocols that were given to us. But I really give Jen credit for thinking outside the box, and she's got a good head on her shoulders, and I hope you will vote for her. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? And she's not here this evening?
No, Jen could not be here tonight.
Okay. And is there another nominee?
Yep. Second nomination is for Mike Gilio. Mike is currently serving on the Park and Rec Commission, and he will be running for his second full term. I think he completed an interim term before his first full term. Mike has lived in Dover for at least 10 or more years. I remember coaching against Mike in baseball, and so he's been around for a while. And Mike is still involved, active in youth sports, and he's been a valuable addition to the Park and Rec Commission, and he has agreed to accept the nomination. And he also could not be here tonight.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Do I hear a second? Okay, are there any other nominations for Park and Recreation? Okay, hearing none, I declare nominations for that position closed. Since there are no more than 2 nominees for each position, I would like to direct the caucus clerk to cast 1 ballot on behalf of the caucus, which reflects the names that have been put forward tonight. Thank you. Before we adjourn tonight's meeting, just a couple of reminders. Town meeting is Monday, May 6th, and if we have to, we'll go on to Tuesday, May 7th. It starts at 7 p.m. Try to be there at 7 p.m. sharp. That will enable us to hopefully end a little bit earlier in the evening. Town elections are Monday, May 20th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Registration for the town meeting and town election will be accepted by the registrars until Friday, April 26th at 5 p.m. So you have until April 26th, 5 p.m. to register to vote. I would like to ask all nominees to please sign the caucus certificate and pick up campaign finance materials from the town clerk before leaving the hall tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn the caucus? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.